Hey, JC here again. Well, we're back to talking about the 7 most stressful financial concerns for pre-retirees and why, if you come to live in Thailand, a lot of those are eliminated. I hope you've enjoyed the videos so far we've done. In number 1, we talked about unforeseen expenses, major expenses. In number 2, the video I sent last time, we talked about depleting your retirement account, which was the most stressful, and we talked about if you're in Thailand why that's not such a big issue. Today's number 3, and number 3 is the rising cost of insurance. It's just amazing how unaffordable insurance is, especially in the United States. Now, if you're in UK or Australia, you get socialized medicine, you get medical care taken care of for free. And the thing about that is, from what I understand, and people, my members and my member side have told me, is that, yeah, it's free, but you got to get in a queue. Most people have a supplemental insurance policy or another insurance policy that if they need medical attention, they can go to a doctor or a hospital and get taken care of and apply it to their insurance because they don't want to wait. It takes a long time to get seen. So, having said all that, it's not that expensive to self-insure yourself in Thailand. Now, in America, we have Medicare, and you can't use Medicare in Thailand. Once you leave America, it's not usable anymore. So what are your options? If it's this rising insurance costs or something to be concerned with, how do you eliminate them by living in Thailand? And it depends on your age. The answer to that is age. If you've already gotten over 65 years old, there are some limitations to what your options are. But let's go through a couple things. One is, if you're under 65, you can get insurance. I've got an insurance policy, a major medical policy, that I get $250,000 US a year per incident coverage for $149 a month. And so that's inpatient care, outpatient care, everything covered. I'm even covered in the United States, but there's a rider on that actually you have to pay an extra amount of money because America is so expensive for medical. But the rest of the world, I can travel and use my insurance as well. $250,000 US per incident. So anyway, now granted that's cheap because I have a $1,000 deductible. Now, back home my $1,000 wouldn't go very far. And then I have to use the insurance. But here I've lowered the cost of that premium because $1,000 covers almost anything but a major medical crisis. I mentioned in the last video, it was like $30 to go in and have my hand x-rayed in the emergency room and get medication and a soft splint and everything. Cheap. So you can get, I think when I had my motorbike accident, I actually went to a Thai hospital. I actually went to 2 of them. But the second one I went to, they did an MRI. I saw the neurologist. I was in the hospital for 2 days with meals and medications, the MRI and everything. It was like $300 or something. It was crazy cheap. But that's a government hospital. The private hospital is a little more, and that's why I want to have the major medical insurance. Now, if you get it before you're 65, some of these companies over here will insure you forever, as long as you don't let the policy lapse and you continue to make your premiums. Now, they might go up a little bit as time goes by, but you're saving so much money that even if it doubled in price, it'd still be a deal, right? And so the rising insurance costs isn't such a big issue. Now, another thing to remember when it comes to medication, in Thailand, you can get almost every medication over the counter. And what does that mean? It means you don't have to go see a doctor to get a prescription written to get your medicine. You can actually just walk into a pharmacy. If you know what you want, you can ask for it. If you don't know what you want, the pharmacists are usually helpful in trying to give you what you need. But you don't need to go to a doctor. So you've eliminated the original cost of the doctor's appointment and the time to get your prescription. You just walk in. Now, the things that they don't sell over the counter would be hypnotic sleeping pills, very strong painkillers, but that's about it. Everything else is over the counter. And they're mostly either the Thai equivalent drug from a Thai manufacturer, which makes them very inexpensive. Now you're saying, well, why would they be inexpensive? The ability to pay. I mentioned this in another video. Thai people are only making, $15 a day or something. How would they pay what we pay in America for medicine? They couldn't. Then nobody'd have any medicine. They would be they'd be doing without it. So it's the ability to pay. Now, having said that, some medicines are still under patent, and they're only available over here from the overseas company because the patent hasn't run out, so they don't manufacture them here yet. And those could be a little bit more expensive, but not as expensive as back home, even then. So the medical insurance cost is not that high, and there's a lot of options. In my member site, I actually did a whole posting about, and I compared all these different kinds of policies that were available and why I picked the one I did and how much it costs and how it compared to other coverages and stuff like that. Because I want everybody to be informed. I don't just tell somebody here, get this or don't get that. And so if this is a big concern of yours, which for a lot of pre-retirees and retirees, insurance is a big deal. And so I wanted to alleviate that by talking to you about what it's like over here, what I did, how I'm covered, and why I don't worry so much about medical costs. So I hope all these videos are helpful for you all, that you're getting a lot out of them. It's helping to alleviate some of the worry and stress about going into retirement if you're a pre-retiree, or about your retirement that you're having now, and some of the financial concerns and worries that you're having. Remember, when it comes to spending money, even on insurance, there's always an option. And over here in Thailand, we have the option of self-insuring, which I did up until I was 60 years old. I've always self-insured. I paid for everything out of pocket, because if you look at an actuary table, the chance of something major happening was pretty small. Once we hit 60, it starts to increase a little bit. So I thought, better be safe than sorry. So, but there's always an option. If you came over and you were more than 65 years old, I'd suggest staying in good health, walking wherever you go, trying to eat good food and stuff like that. And then if your only option is to self-insure. Now remember, I mentioned about Medicare and stuff. If worse comes to worse, like for an American, they could go back home and use their Medicare. So that's an option. If it's not something that's an emergency situation, then you could do that. If you're from another country, you could go back and use your medical care back home. But while you're here, you could get insurance if you're under 65 years old, and it's not that expensive, and you're covered for everything. And like I said, some of these hospitals are like resorts. So there you go. That was number 3. Number 4 video will be coming at you in a few days. And that's going to be, for Americans, the ins and outs of Social Security. There's a lot of worries and concerns about Social Security. Rightfully so. So if you get a chance, check out my YouTube channel, Retire Cheap JC. And we have a website, retirecheap.tv. You can go to that, as that's the member site, and catch up on some of these videos about what life's like over here. It's pretty good, and today is awesome. The breeze is actually cool. Beautiful day here at the beach. Here, Nat, can you swing the camera around and show them the beach? So there you go. Remember, when it comes to your retirement or pre-retirement, there's always an option. See you in number 4. JC out.